how do billionaires flex when nothing is off limits anymore? How do they find meaning when there is nothing left to buy? Because when everybody is rich, the only thing left to chase is. So in today's episode, I'll reveal how the ultra-rich quietly rank each other. Peter Thiel is injecting himself with young people's blood plasma. Jack Dorsey eats once a day, fasts for 36 hours, and walks 5 miles to work barefoot in the sun. Elon Musk, Neuralink, is literally trying to merge your brain with the computer. Bryan Johnson, the man who looked at aging and said, "No thanks."
One day, at some point, you will die.
False.
Bryan didn't come from oil or royalty. He made his fortune the old-fashioned tech way, founding Braintree, which later acquired Venmo, and selling it to PayPal for $800 million. He also could have stopped there, buy an island, and sponsor an F1 team, but instead, he became his own full-time lab rat. Johnson is the face of the movement that's been quietly sweeping through the worlds of the richest man, biohacking. Biohacking is the ultimate rich person hobby.
I think we should stop following our minds and instead follow our bodies.
It's what happens when you're too wealthy for therapy, bored of wellness retreats, and allergic to aging. It's the practice of tweaking your body through supplements, tech, extreme diets, implants, fast, stem cells, in hopes of living longer, smarter, and younger. If only somebody told him about Botox. I'm joking, before you call me out in the comments. He's in the league of his own. At 45, he spends $2 million a year trying to biologically become 18 again. Does this ring a bell? His lifestyle is called Blueprint, and it is obsessively calculated. His day consists of over 100 supplements, vegan calorie-measured meals, constant glucose and hormone monitoring, daily scans, blood work, full-body ultrasounds. His home is essentially a private hospital. He employs over 30 doctors and scientists to analyze him like Silicon Valley's iPhone prototype. And get this, he publishes every detail, open source, so the world can learn with him. He's tracking how fast his skin ages, the strengths of his erection, his lung functions, his heart age, his liver performance, his memory, his reaction time, and emotional state. Why? Because he doesn't just want to live longer. He wants to reverse aging, to break the rules of biology. In his own words, the mind I have today would have made way better decisions at 18. So I want my 45-year-old brain with my 18-year-old body. Who doesn't? And that's the essence of biohacking for the ultra-rich. When wealth buys everything, what's left to conquer? Time.
And caring for yourself and caring about the quality and length of your life is one of the greatest luxuries.
For Bryan, immortality isn't some Marvel fantasy. It's a spreadsheet, a daily checklist, a $2 million a year science experiment. And yes, some people think that he's a freak, a narcissist, a middle-life crisis in the biotech form. But others, they see a pioneer. Here's what's undeniably true. He's not hurting anyone, he's experimenting on himself, he's funding his own research, he's making his data public, and he's doing what the government hasn't even thought of yet. In a mansion so large, it made other mansions feel insecure, there lived a man named Alfred Lee Loomis. Not a Rockefeller, not a Vanderbilt, but still, that kind of rich. Born in 1887, Loomis came from a well-connected East Coast family, cousin to Henry Stimson, who would later become the US Secretary of War. By the way, are you starting to notice how war and money always go hand in hand? But Alfred didn't just inherit wealth, he multiplied it. After a successful career as a corporate lawyer on Wall Street, he turned to finance full-time and made a fortune in the 1929 stock market crash by betting against the crowds. Yes, another recession winner. By the early 1930s, he was so rich he could have just taken his yacht and disappeared into the Newport cocktail parties forever. But Alfred Loomis wasn't interested in yacht gossips. couldn't be me. He was chasing meaning. All of his friends were rich, some were literal nobility. He wanted to be remembered differently, not just for how much he had, but for what he built. So he did what any eccentric millionaire with too much money and not enough hobbies would do. He turned his mansion in Tuxedo Park, New York, into a private, scientific lab. Tuxedo Park became the playground for the Nobel Prize winners Einstein, Fermi, Bohr. They didn't just know Loomis, they were friends with him. My personal favorite duos were rich people and their genius friends. Loomis wasn't a scientist by training, but he was obsessed with progress. He had a deep belief that science would shape the world and that if he could gather the right minds, he could lead it. So he funded everything: early studies on brainwaves, precision timekeeping, and then time travel. In the 1930s, Loomis began obsessing over time perception and nonlinear physics. He poured resources into temporal physics, and his research laid early groundwork for what would later become the atomic timekeeping, the foundation for GPS, telecommunications, and yes, modern time travel theories. So basically, while your rich friend was funding the third tequila brand, Lewis was building literal physics breakthroughs as a hobby. But his biggest legacy came during World War II. As the war approached, Loomis shifted his focus to national defense. He helped create the MIT Radiation Lab, one of the most important institutions in the wartime science. It became instrumental in developing radar technology, the invincible weapon that helped the Allies detect and destroy German aircraft before they could strike. Winston Churchill later said, "Radar won the war." And guess where the tech was incubated? Tuxedo Park. Loomis never sought fame. In fact, he burned his papers before he died. He declined interviews and stayed out of press. A man who didn't want your admiration. He just wanted to out-invent you. Because when everybody at the dinner party is a billionaire, there is only one way to stand out. Change the future. Thank you, darling. You're always on top of my ranking. Hello?
Imagine 3 old money friends. 2 of them come from families worth around $10 million and live flashy lifestyle, yachts, designer clothes, constant social media posts. The third girl's family is worth $100 million, but she's low-key. No flashy brands, 1 car with a driver, almost no online presence. Her friends know she's significantly wealthier, like she could buy their lives 10 times over. But does that actually matter in their dynamic? Do they subconsciously rank her higher because of that generational power and low-key status? Or is $10 million enough to feel equally elite among each other?
First of all, if you only have 10 million, you're not buying a yacht. Yes, that girl would still be cooler, especially if she only has Finsta or private Instagram, because the most luxurious thing today is privacy. There is a difference in lifestyles between 10 million and 100 million, but barely a difference between 100 million and 1 billion lifestyles. Good question, though. Yes?
Do they rank uniqueness, like name, accent, look, abilities?
This one hurts to hear, but the way you look will always impact your ranking. This is why, and I say this while keeping the best intentions in my head, you always have to go to the gym, even if you're depressed. Because putting makeup and doing fillers will take 5 minutes to fix you up. But if you forget about your body, it will take months to get back in shape. As sad as it is, but people will always treat you better if you're hot. Enough of questions for the day. After hearing those stories, you might be impressed or weirded out by those billionaires. But here's the thing, how many of you dreamt of an office job? I bet that many of you want to be creators, artists, science, but you have bills to pay. I myself worked at the office job for 5 years. It was so soul-draining, and the only reason I got to say fuck corporate and start this channel was because my dad, aka the angel investor, said, go do it. So now I get to make the content that I really love. Not because it pays, it does quite the opposite, but because I can afford to have a failing business. I get the luxury to take risks which don't pay off without putting my life at risk. It is not that these rich people are the only ones capable of changing the future. The thing is, they're the only ones who can financially back up their ideas. They get to explore, experiment, build, and fail, all without going broke. But the question is, how much can we, as a society, truly progress if only 1% of us gets to invent? Like, subscribe, and as always, do whatever you want with this information.